Now
Okay.
it's pressed.
All
Thanks for
right.
reminding.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
it
right.
would
So let's
be
go to that
sharing the
English
presentation.
classroom name. And this is a very, very powerful activity. We saw this list last week, okay? And what we're going to invite you to do, I think it was the isolated slide. Did you put it in here already, Theo?
Yes, it's
Maybe you added it
this one.
somewhere. There you go.
This one.
Perfect. Okay, great. So we saw this list last week, right? And last week we were talking about it from the standpoint of innovation. Okay, so we were just saying, okay, what did these people do that was innovative, right? And how did they become a good leader? Why do we view all of these historical people as good leaders? And then some of you even came up with new names, right? Okay, so now we're going to take this at a different level. We're going to take it from the point of the fact that these people have something to teach you for your project, okay? So we take on an English classroom name in addition to your everyday name, right? So my everyday name is Libyan Labiosa, but my classroom name is Guadalupe. And that's a really interesting name that I chose many years ago, because I don't know if any of you are Christian, you might know that there is a virgin called Guadalupe. And whenever that virgin appears or gives you a gift, the air smells like roses. And roses are an important aspect of what we do because of the shape of the rose. The rose is in the shape of a spiral. And the way we develop our lesson plans is in a spiral. So we don't teach in a linear model, we teach in a spiral. So I chose that name Guadalupe many, many years ago. And that's my teacher name when I'm working with students or mentoring them. So they don't always have to call me Dr. Labiosa. They just call me Guadalupe, okay? Now, how would you choose a name would be a little bit different, because these names are people who are innovative, number one. Number two, they all did something that had a big impact in their countries and in their world, and continues to have an impact hundreds of years later, right? Thousands of years later, like in the case of Julius Caesar, okay, or Joan of Arc, hundreds of years later. So we're going to invite you to choose a name, and then you don't have to necessarily say it right away. If you know it, go ahead, but think about it. And then on closer to the end of the project, maybe around module 8, we're going to have you do a monologue. So you're going to be talking for a full 10 minutes about how you, this person, so let's say that you chose Joan of Arc, right? And you chose Joan of Arc, and it could be either a boy or a girl. It doesn't have to be the same gender as you, but let's make believe it that Miss Honey would choose Joan of Arc. Well, Joan of Arc was very visionary, and she was very brave, and she was very courageous, but she was very visionary, and she saw things that other people didn't see. So much so that she even went to the battlefield to fight, right? Even though she was a girl, she was a very young girl, she was a teenager, but she had a vision. So what would Joan of Arc teach Miss Honey is that in this case, Miss Honey can visualize how her platform is going to be very successful in Senegal and in the neighboring countries of Africa, and going further globally. And right now, Mr. Theo just said maybe even one of the first areas her platform can reach might be Bulgaria. So they're visioning something that doesn't exist at this moment, but can exist very soon. Okay, so she might choose the name Joan of Arc because she had a good vision, just like Miss Hannah has a good vision. And Joan of Arc would teach you to be very courageous and brave and to hold your vision, you know, eye on the prize and not move from your vision. Okay, so that might be a good reason to choose the name Joan of Arc. Now, our other colleague that was doing the Rice Project, you see, I'm giving you an example, but you can think of your own name. I would have chosen for him maybe even the name Thomas Edison, because Thomas Edison, he invented thousands of patents. He always used to be thinking of how he can impact 90% of the population, right? So when he was inventing the light bulb, he was competing with Nikola Tesla on the light bulb, and he wanted so much that to light up the city of New York. Wow, people didn't even have one light bulb in their house, but he wanted a light bulb for the whole city of New York City, right? So it's just like our colleague, right? Where he's saying, I want rice for 90% of the Senegalese people. So therefore, maybe if he studied about Thomas Edison might be an inspiration to you because he wanted to light up the entire city of New York City. And he did. He ended up accomplishing that goal. Okay. So we're going to think about those names, and I'm sure Mr. Theo can send them to you later on in the week for you to study them some more. But let's go back to that slide, Mr. Theo, to look at the names one more time. And I just gave you 2 examples, but you can choose whoever you want. And then your job is going to be to investigate things about this person. Let us know what their name is, because starting in the next session, we'll call you by that name. Okay, so we won't call you Miss Honey anymore. We would call you Miss Joan of Arc. Okay, so that to remind you, oh, I got to make some more research, right? Or maybe it's Miss Jane Goodall, or maybe you want to be Winston Churchill, right? So again,
yes.
module 8, you're going to do a 10-minute presentation, 10 whole minutes, about how this person has real influence, has taught you something that you can apply to your project. Okay. So from that standpoint, okay, so we're doing it so that you can learn something from them that you can use for your project. Because all these people have very unique passion, right? And they all work at different things. Maybe it was science, maybe it was equal rights, maybe it was politics, maybe it was history, you know, Bill Gates, right, with computers and so on. Jane Goodall, she saved all of the chimpanzees, right, and the monkey. So, you know, different things these people did. But the reality is that in today's day and age, in the year 2021, we are better because of them, right? So Sir Isaac Newton used to say that we stand on the shoulders of a giant. And because we stand on their shoulders, we can go further, right? So you can know more because of these people and because of your ancestors, right? So your ancestors leave something behind for you to continue. And these people leave something behind for you to continue, okay? So you'll study the names. If you think you know a name already, you could go ahead and put it in the text box. And then if not, you can think about it some more. And between now and next Wednesday, you can declare.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Mr. Jan, I have some problem with my computer. The reason why I'm late today.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. We all know that computers are very troublesome. Connection.
The connection.
Connectivity.
Always
The bandwidth.
obstacle somehow.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the good part is you can listen to the recording, so no worries. You're most welcome.
Mhm.
Okay,
We're
so
discussing about the
everybody
leaders.
understand what we're going to do? Choose a English classroom name, and then
Mhm.
during module 8, you're going to do a presentation about that person and what that person has taught you that will influence to improve and have an impact on your project. Okay, so what can we learn from this innovative leader? And, you know, if it's a different name, go ahead and let us know. But, you know, these are good names here. And there's only a few of you. So I think there's plenty of names left over to choose from. Okay. All right. So food for thought, right? Think about that in the back burner. All right. We can go up to the slide 1, the one with the quote. There you go. All right. So for today, we're going to start looking at leadership
Mhm.
philosophy. So let's
Yes.
move to the next slide. There we go. And who can read that quote for me? Who got a good reading voice from Albert Einstein? Who can read that out loud? Anybody want to jump in and read it?
From A to B.
We have
Yeah, just read it. So logic,
logic will get you from A to B.
yes.
Imagination will take you anywhere.
Anywhere. Okay, logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you anywhere. And that was Albert Einstein. Who remembers what Albert Einstein did?
Einstein, yes.
What,
You know
what,
Einstein?
what did he do? Because he was pretty famous, right? He did a lot of things.
Einstein it's a scientific man
Yeah,
and do a lot of things in the world about scientific.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So imagine, so he was a scientist, but look, he's talking about imagination.
Mhm.
Okay, so almost like a lateral movement. Okay, so it's almost to the side. So not only about science, right? Because science would
Mhm.
imply logic. Yeah,
Mhm.
science is very logical.
Yes.
And then logic gets you from A to B. But what is he saying? Imagination will take you anywhere. So if you have use of your imagination, you can go beyond
Mhm.
logic, beyond science. What was one of the things that he invented was the theory of relativity. Did anybody ever study that in school? I remember it was very confusing to me, right? Because it wasn't very logical, right? So he was basically talking about things that are relative in the universe and folding the universe. Oh my goodness. I remember writing a lot of notes in my physics class and I still didn't understand that. But he could invent that theory because he was using his imagination. Okay. So how can you use your imagination for your project?
For our project,
Yeah. How could you use your imagination?
for example, for me,
Yes.
I want to finish all my master degree.
Exactly.
When I finish my master degree, I will do the PhD.
Right.
Because my object is to be a good ledger.
A good leader.
Ledger,
Uh-huh.
ledger. When I say the ledger, after a ledger we will pass PhD. After PhD, professor.
Right.
After professor, you will go to be PhD, and I will have my like in French is cabinet.
Ah, okay.
Com-
Cabinet.
Mhm.
To be in the cabinet. So to be in politics.
Cabinet, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Because I want to be a good ledger and a consultant.
Right. So that people can come to you for advice on a country level, right? So from a
Mhm.
that high level.
The reason why, for example, I need to have, I think things that in English you say that CYP, it's CYP.
Yeah.
When I say CYP, it means to be an expert about accountant and finance.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. I know what you're saying. An expert in finance. That is called, oh, you see, I'm going to have to look
Mr.
that up.
Gianni, it's gonna create the future cryptocurrency of Africa.
Mhm.
In Africa,
Yes, I'm
the future,
because I remember that we was discussing this in our previous meetings, that
yeah.
currency that can benefit African continent,
Mhm.
not other
Duncan,
countries.
at first, before to change Africa in the future, at first we just to change our behavior. When I say our behavior, in Africa, we have a lot of problems like a conflict in Africa. Some country like Ivory Coast, Nigeria,
Yes.
Senegal, we have some problem, a lot of country. But we can escape us in the development because we have uh, a lot of effort in soccer. When I said you a lot of, but when you have a lot of effort and we can have a good uh, behavior, behavior, and we have a good education, it's very difficult to be developed.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly. So you have to have a world view, and more than a world view, you need to have a global view. So you need to be able to have world readiness.
world
Okay.
ready.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Right. And I think that Mr. Theodore had sent you in the beginning some explanation, like when he was talking about this particular class that we're sharing here, about how this is based on world readiness standards. Okay, so that's a new way of looking at learning a language, learning English, for example. So instead of just learning, the grammar, we're using English in the context of your project. Okay, so that you are,
Mhm.
on the one hand, working on your project, on the other hand, working on how to express yourself in English about your project.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's almost like
Yes, it's very
entering
necessary.
a mindset, right? So when you explain yourself
Yeah.
in French, it might sound really different
Mhm.
because you're very fluent and very knowledgeable and intellectual in French. But when you're explaining yourself in
But when
English,
you want to succeed
you
in
need
the
to
world,
practice that.
yeah, when we want to succeed in the world, we need to express ourselves a good English because English is the only key around the world. You can, for example, before using some book, a good book, we need to know English.
Mhm. Yeah.
And for example, when you want to perform it around the world, you know English. That is say that English, we can help learning English. English is the only key you can use around the world, like
Right.
Chinese, like
Mhm.
Spanish, like
Yeah.
Germany. When you know English, you have not problem.
Yeah. Mhm.
and
Right. Yeah. And a
and
lot of people
especially if
speak
you
Chinese,
if
right? But that's because there's so many people in China, right? But when you go
Yeah.
outside, then
Hmm.
English becomes much more international language. There was some statistics of
Hmm.
what, like you just said, and they even said that Spanish is growing, but English will always be the more useful and more important one,
Yeah.
and especially
Hmm.
depending on your industry. And in business, well, English,
Yeah.
right? All right. So
but
when we're looking
when you
then
know two
here,
languages, you are even better.
That's right. Bilingual, right? Bilingual. Bilingual. And maybe in African countries, there might know an African dialect as well, right? There might be some other languages, you know, that are spoken in the village. So each language is a world unto itself, right? So it opens how you look at the world in each language. So what we're really looking for, again, is we're going through a back alley to define this. What is the vision? What is the mission? And what are the goals of your project? So these three terms are going to keep coming up over and over again to help you define them very crystal clear, very carefully. Okay, what is the vision of your project? What is the mission? And what are the goals? Okay, so we'll come back to these over and over again, but you can already start to see that that question of the slide that was put in your WhatsApp this week about the benefits. What do the benefits address? Does the benefit address a vision, a mission, or a goal? Which one is the benefit? Where does the benefit fit over here in these three words?
Enough.
Is the benefit part of the vision? Is the benefit part of the mission? Or is the benefit part of the goal?
The benefit of the projects, of their projects. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Before to talk about the goal, we need to know the vision at first.
Right. So these three dance together, don't they? So first you need to know the vision, then you need to know the mission, then you need to know the goals. But sometimes you can't define the vision without knowing the goals. So maybe it's like backward planning, you know, like when you're walking backwards and you want to walk backwards to see how you're going to go forward. You visualize that? So you walk back so that you can move forward. Okay.
How to project vision, mission, and goal.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So that's something, and last week somebody was talking about, oh, that you needed to write a, what did they say? It was like a proposal.
Business plan, I mean.
The business plan. Thank you, thank you. That was the word, right? Somebody said, oh, they have to write a business plan, and there was a professor at the university that gave you a structure for the business plan. Well, wow, a business plan is a big document, right? It's a big document. So before we even start on that huge document, yeah?
Yeah, I was
think the business plan means a vision.
Right. So these can be almost like a statement or a sentence or two sentences. What is the vision? Right? What is the mission? Right? So for example, when we say that we're going to feed 90% of the Senegalese people, is that a vision or is that a mission or is that a goal? What do you think?
Okay.
Right now.
To go and look.
Yes.
Yes. My vision is to set up a company an agro-business company who grow rice and buy rice.
Okay.
Think as a vision about something that how this that you just explained, how it look like after 10 years, for example. How the setting of the company and everything what you do, it's gonna look like after 10 years. Where you will be after 10 years.
After 10 years.
Yes, how this business that you wanted to start, that this project, this social um, idea, it's gonna look like after 10 years.
Okay. After 10 years, I want to grow rice in 1 or 2 hectares, and I want to participate in food self-sufficiency in Senegal.
Oh, there. Self-sufficiency in Senegal. That's good. Keep that.
And I want to create many jobs for those people.
Okay, so you're going to create many jobs. So self-sufficiency, creating jobs.
And we need agricultural engineer, a technician, and use people who can help us to set up this enterprise.
Right. And when you're looking at the vision, the mission, and the goals, you almost want to suspend disbelief, right? So if there's something in there that you think to yourself, oh, I can't do that because I don't have the engineers right now, right? So leave that aside, write it down somewhere, because that will become part of your goals, right? That you need an action plan, and you need to find some engineers. But for the time being, make believe that you have the engineers, right? So if you have the engineers, what's the good stuff? What's the good thing that can happen? So sometimes when we're thinking about the vision and the mission, we think of all of the blocks, right? Or the impediments or the problems or things that we don't have, right? So, during the pandemic of COVID, we knew that we could no longer travel to see each other. So people were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We can't see each other. We're stuck at home. And then they were like, oh, wait a second. There's something called Zoom or Google Meet or WebEx or GoToMeetings. We could just meet people on the telephone. Okay. It may not be the same thing as being there in person, but at least we can keep moving toward our vision and our mission. Okay. So, this is just the beginning. We're going to go back to this over and over again, but keep your antennas up, because you'll notice that every time we give you a question to think about, that question is driving you toward more and more clarity about the vision, mission, and goals. So even on the very first day, remember we asked you to think about how you define education. And maybe some of you were thinking, oh, I'm not doing something with education. Why do I have to talk about that? Okay, now, 10, 14 days later, what do you think that education thing, where does it fit over here? Does it fit with a mission? Does it fit with a vision? Or does it fit with the goals? Remember what you said when you answered that question. You did your little video clip, right? And you sent us a video of yourself talking about this. What you said, would it fall under vision, mission, or goals?
For example, for me, about the project.
Yeah.
At first, the project, they are born. When the project is born, you make a plan. At first, you study the presentation of the project.
Okay.
When you finish, you make you join the market to make an studies about the market. And when in the third party is, for example, you make a plan to know this project is good for this, for example, 5 year or 10 year. If this project is good, you will you search, for example, about financing organization to help you to make your project in the future.
Okay. So there you go. So you can have, remember Mr. Mohammed said to you all.
The vision, I think that it is the bone of the project, the mission. For example, when you realize, for example, the project is, you think you can do this project, it is a mission to do. The goal, it is to product a benefit, result, a good result about it. It is the goal.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good. And then remember he told you, Mr. Mohammed said to you, oh, okay, you can think 10 years out, but for the moment, just think about, you know, a few months, maybe 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. So when you're starting to think close and then far, right? So you're constantly testing. You're constantly deciding, is this a solid vision? Is this a solid mission? Is this a solid goal? So you're constantly testing. And when something comes up and you think, oh, I can't do that, well, you can add the solution to that in your goals. Okay, so you can turn the negative into a positive, okay, into an action.
And we also
Okay.
was mentioning that also the goals are short term, mid term, long term, as you saying that that's like as a steps. But
Right.
I was wanted to share something else. Sometimes I had a bunch of friends that they are believing in this new wave of entrepreneurship called lean entrepreneurship, and they don't respect so much long business plans. They always said lean or die. Because they said that in the very early stage of having an idea, especially in the entrepreneurship, you have to test it. You have to test it with the market, test it with the customers, and before you was writing a long explanations, and because you can end up with a very good business plan about something that it's not relevant, or you don't have customers, or somebody already did it, or and takes the niche or something like that. That's why I mean, I just wanted to say that in today's world, the traditional way of starting a business, it's not completely the same. I mean, it was changing quite a lot after in the last 10
Right.
years.
So you need to think about, you know, you need to think about those 4 P's of innovation, right? Is it really innovative, right? And we need to think about the fact that in the 21st century, people need different skills than they needed in the 20th century, right? So we were talking here about these globalization skills. You need to know how to be able to be in the global world. You need to be able to be a doer. You need to be able to do things as well as dream about doing things. Yeah. So you need to be able to communicate in the world, like you were saying about English being very important. Workplace communication at the level of world readiness. Okay. And you have to constantly be wanting to learn. So like a lifelong learner, you want to always be wanting to learn. And in today's economy, you need to have knowledge economy skills. So some of you were talking about the computers and the technology and communication with technology and how important that was. And that's probably something important for a globalization or a knowledge economy or a workplace communication. But then what happens with the bandwidth? Uh-oh, You might have a good tablet, or you might have a good computer, but if there isn't good Wi-Fi, you're not going to be able to connect or stay connected with the rest of the world, right? So some of those challenges exist as well. And critical thinking, you have to be able to solve problems quickly. Okay, and a little bit about what Theo was saying about the Six Sigma world in total quality management. They're the ones who then came up with, oh, we can't really do Six Sigma, so now we're going to do lean. And the real question is, can these things be, these theories be implemented always and not just sometimes? Okay, so, you know, how do you keep something going always, not just sometimes? It's the same thing with your English ability. Can you speak English always, not just sometimes? So I'm a firm believer in that you can speak at whatever level you are at, as long as you, within that level, feel confident in your level. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that you can talk about your project at different levels. Some of your colleagues may have less vocabulary, and some of your colleagues may have more vocabulary, but both people can explain their project in their own way. You see how that happens? So the person that has less vocabulary can use all of the vocabulary they have to explain their project in their own way. And the person who has more vocabulary can explain the project with more vocabulary in their way. This is the adaptability of a 21st century leader. Okay, so when we're looking at knowledge economy skills, these are very specific skills. So those words that I have in those little cubes, now go back to that one that you had there, Theo, the next one, the pentagons, that one. Those words inside of those hexagons are the real skills as defined by the United Nations. Okay, so when we say knowledge economy skills, okay, first let's understand what knowledge economy means. There are 4 economies. One is agricultural economy, which is we want to eat better. Okay, so a lot of countries need to have more agricultural products so that they can become sustainable and independent, and their people can eat better, and they are not reliant on other people. Okay, so agricultural economy. But then from agricultural economy, some countries went to industrial economy. What is an industrial economy? That is industry, right? Factories. Okay, so that people could build things, more and more things, right? Because a factory is about reproduction.
Produce.
Okay, produce. And then from there, we go to a knowledge economy. So some countries are in a knowledge economy, and that has to do with knowing better, learning better. And lastly, we have what we call a quantum economy, which is being better, like wisdom, right? Maybe some of the elders in your family are very wise, and you spend time with them on a Sunday afternoon talking, and you're like, wow, Uncle Joey is just like, whoo, he is so smart. But he got his smartness, maybe not from going to school, but from the school of life. He's very wise because of his experiences. Do any of you have family members like that? A wise elder, wisdom. So how can we teach young people to be wise. That is what the quantum economy is about. Now, in some countries, it would go in order: agricultural economy, industrial economy, knowledge economy, quantum economy. But in the 21st century, we have situations where we have all four economies going on at the same time. Okay, and some of you mentioned this when you were doing your presentations last week, right? So you have in Senegal and in Africa the unique situation where you have agricultural economy, right? You have industrial economy, you have knowledge economy, right? Some of you said, I got to get my master's, my PhD, a professor, then go to the cabinet, right? And then quantum economy, where you want to create sustainability and scalability and use your strength. Okay, so some countries have all four economies going on simultaneously, right? Because the rate of change is fast. Understand that. So these skills, dialoguing. What do you think dialoguing means? What does that word mean, dialoguing?
No, for me.
Yeah, dialoguing, to talk with somebody, right? Why is that knowledge economy skill? Dialoguing. Why do you think that would be a skill? Why is dialoguing important?
Dialoguing.
Yeah,
For me, for example, fundraising.
Exactly. You have to go to dialogue with somebody if you want to get some funding.
Yeah.
Right? Dialoguing. So dialoguing is a skill. Understand, a skill. Teamworking. Teamworking. What's teamworking? Why is that a skill? Why is it important to have teamwork in the 21st century? Why is teamwork important?
For me, teamwork is very important because we can have more impact by getting a high vision, and this vision can allow us to make impact by missions that we will have. And we need all skills of members that we have. That's why dialoguing is something better.
Exactly. I love it. There, and you can actually see that they go together, right? Teamwork will lead to better dialoguing, will lead to better adapting, will lead for more thinking about things, reflecting, will lead to more questions. Oh, now I have more questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we need some engineers. Maybe we need another partner that has a platform.
Of course.
Maybe I need to team up with a friend, right? Questions. Questioning is an important skill in the 21st century, right? So we're not saying that you need to know all the answers, okay? Not important to know all the answers. Sometimes it's more important to know the right question, okay? And then listening to see where those answers are. Is the answer going to come from within you, like, you know, in your head, all of a sudden, boom, you got the answer, listening? Or is the answer going to come from, oh my God, I remember my great-great-grandma used to have XYZ. I could do that now. Okay. Sensing. Some of you may have an intuitive instinct. You don't quite know why, but you know that that's the right answer. Sensing. Okay. And last but not least, analyzing. Can you see that juxtaposition of these skills? Analyzing, sensing, questioning, reflecting, listening, dialoguing, right? Teamworking, adapting. So these skills interact together. Again, Think about these skills, write them in your notebook there, about how these skills will help you in your planning for your project, right? So our two colleagues already gave us two hints, right? One of them said, you need team working so that you can have a bigger, deeper, better vision, because, you know, 1 + 1 = 3. If you have more people to help you as a good, solid team, you could do more things, bigger things, deeper things, a bigger, robust vision. And our other colleagues said, well, dialoguing is important because you need to be able to communicate. And without that, you can't do fundraising. So practical.
Please, deeper thing mean a bigger, deeper thing.
Yes.
It mean a bigger thing.
Good. So you can see right there that why these are called knowledge economy skills. So if you have the skills, these skills, you are better able to function in a knowledge economy. If you don't have these skills, it'll be more challenging. You can still function, but it might be more challenging. Okay. So for interacting with individuals, for interacting with a team, for interacting with your project, you know, so that those levels, how do these knowledge economy skills work for you as an individual? How do they work for you as an individual leader? How do they work for your team? How do they work for your project? Okay. So thinking always back and forth, like playing volleyball. Okay. Dialoguing, team working, adapting, questioning. What's the right question? You don't have to know all the answers. Sometimes knowing the right question is better than knowing the answer. From those questions, you'll be able to find the answer. Okay. Reflecting. From thinking, you'll find the answer. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you have to go for a walk to come to the answer. Okay. Oh, now this one. Ooh, these are one of my favorite ones, because people talk about this all the time. I'm sure you've heard professors and people that you work with, or people in the government, in the newspaper. This word comes up a lot. Lifelong learning skills. However, the United Nations has defined a set of lifelong learning skills. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to learn your whole life. I mean, that's what the word sounds like, right? Lifelong learning. What does the word mean? Oh, it means that you're going to always be learning. Okay, stay with the other slide. Back it up, Theo. That one, right? So what are those skills? The skills of lifelong learning are these skills here. Adapting comes up again, okay, because you may have to change back and forth. Networking. Oh, look at that one. You've already started networking amongst your colleagues here, right? There were some of you that are all involved in agribusiness, and you might be able to work together. You know, maybe on that platform, you can then add rice and some of the produce and the vegetables that some of your other colleagues are thinking of working with, right?
Of course.
Anticipating. You have to think ahead. You have to think in advance before something happens. So you know that 90% of the Senegalese people eat rice. What might be something that you're anticipating? Might there be enough rice to feed 90% of the Senegalese people? Do you know the answer to that? Is there enough rice? Is there enough rice? Who knows the answer to that?
For example, we have enough rice in Senegal.
Feelings. Yeah, is there enough rice right now in Senegal?
Senegal, we enough rice. we think that is not possible. But
Ah,
every time Senegal eat rice every time. We
right.
need rice.
And what's one of the things that you need to grow rice is water, right? So is there enough ways of gathering water so that you can grow rice? Okay, so these are the things
Or
you have to anticipate.
we can imagine a clever way of growing rice somehow without water. I don't know.
Right, you can maybe, yeah, you can maybe do it vertically instead of horizontally. Yeah, a clever way, an innovative way. So you have to anticipate those problems to find the performance, to find the result, okay? And then you have to produce results, and like Theo says, it might be in an innovative way. It might be out of the box. It may not be the same way that it has been done, okay? And you're responding to the current environment. If there isn't enough water, how can we do it without so much water? If there isn't enough land, how can we do it with a smaller bit of land, right? Maybe instead of horizontal, we can go vertical. I don't know, right? Creating results, right? And then once you have the solution, to always be transferring the skill from you to someone else. That's how we started this whole discussion about how does education relate to each one of your projects? And maybe some of you were surprised by that question because you're like, what? I'm not a teacher. But actually you are, because you want to transfer the skills that you have to the young people of Senegal. So not only do you want to be successful at your project, but you want to create a new generation of innovators that are just as innovative as you are, right? So you can see how these are called lifelong learning skills. Now, do those skills relate to the fact that you would continuously learn throughout your lifetime? Yeah. Does it mean that a 3-year-old can have lifelong learning skills? Absolutely. And a 10-year-old can have lifelong learning skills, and a 30-year-old can have lifelong learning skills, and a 60-year-old can have lifelong learning skills. You see? So regardless of how old you are, you can still have these skills. But these skills have to be developed and practiced, right? Networking, you're doing this right now. You're in a network with this project, with Mr. Theodore and with each other, right? Adapting, you're finding ways of how to adapt what you say about your project because you're doing it in English, okay? And then you're hearing other feedback from your colleagues and hearing us and going, oh, I could change that a little bit to make it better, okay? Responding to the feedback that you're getting. So when you first started out, you started defining this. Today we told you the real secret, right? That we're trying to get you to define your project, your vision, your mission, your goals by looking at them from different angles, okay? And then creating solutions. All of your projects have to do with creating a solution. You're all very good about that. All of your projects have a benefit to the audience that you're targeting, right? You want to produce a result. See that? Wow, I just love that. You guys are high five, right? Producing results with your project. And you're thinking of transferring skills to the younger people of Senegal by being a model leader. Senegalese people need to be led by Senegalese leaders, right? There's a lot of experiments where they show that what doll might a child choose, or who would you follow, who would you model? You need to see someone that looks like you to inspire you to move further, faster, okay? So that transferring skills. And then you are all anticipating problems that you are finding solutions for those problems. Okay. Oh, you guys are so good with this. It's like check, 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 check. Okay. And then last but not least, performing, like Theo says, the proof is in the pudding. Will your project, you know, survive? Will it hold up luster? Like he was saying, his friends told him about the lean. Maybe a good business plan won't be a good thing, but maybe it will. Okay, so you need to experiment with that. Okay, so now
especially if you're searching for investors.
Well, you know, and investors are a whole nother story, right? Because what is an investor investing in?
Of course, and we
Investors
have. Can we have can we
Yes,
can
yes,
we
yes,
put
you can have the floor.
can we put the summarize of this business plan like a Canva?
Yeah,
The
sure.
summarize of.
You mean
I find this page
the
better that
canvas model?
the small model of business plan. We call that Canva.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it is the same word there, but we call that Canva, that we will have the 6 part, I can say. We have the one part of the activities. We will talk about the service and product. If they have it,
Yeah.
we will have the partner, investor, and we will have also the financial business, the part of financial of finance, financial, that we will have it. You know, that's what I'm doing now. In English also, in English of course, but in French I have already it.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you mean business canvas that you explain everything in the table?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
We use this canvas to define the business model.
The business model,
Yes,
of course.
which is part of the business plan. This can be part of the business plan, but not complete business plan. But it's way better. I mean, most of the entrepreneurs now they use Canvas just to define the model in order to see is their model are innovative or have something that the others don't have according to the finances and relations to customers and very interesting. And they are also a full set of canvas about the customers, how you define your customer and relations. Do you also use them?
Of course. That is part of that, of course.
They are very interesting books. I can send you as well. Business Model U and Business Model Generation. A very nice books explaining the canvas and.
Right, and in this way, what we're doing is going on, again, a lateral thinking, because what we're defining is an innovation. Okay, so all throughout these leadership skills that we're sharing with you, we're looking at it from a different perspective. Yes, go ahead.
About the project, we talk about only agribusiness. We can take another project.
Sure, the computers, right? The information technology.
You can take another project.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this a question or you were sharing something? I didn't get it.
Can they take another project? Yeah, you can. I'm just using the examples that people talk about here on the screen, but obviously you can apply it to anything. See, that's the magic of these skills. The things that
about the project, we take the vision.
Yeah, the way we're talking about these skills, these are very adaptable skills. So this is almost like a cup, right? So here, this is my teacup, right? But it doesn't look like a cup. It might look like a regular cup to you, right? So it could be that maybe I have a basket, right? And that could be a cup. And this could be a teacup. And it could be in a different shape or a different way of dealing with it. But it's something that you put your information in. And in this case, all of the things that we're talking about are very adaptable and flexible. They're for you to define them with your project.
Please,
And
about the
are
project,
you,
we took only the vision, the mission, and the goal.
there you go. For now.
3 parts.
Yeah.
Only.
For now.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. Now, what we're saying is we're showing you different ways of looking at that. So if you go through and answer the question of the knowledge economy skills and the lifelong learning skills, looking at answering those questions as to your project, that helps you define or look at the vision, the mission, and the goals in a different way. It might shed a different light. If you look at it from the 4 P's of innovation, which we're constantly asking you to go back and look at that, right? Philosophy, product or service, people, and process. Today, we've been looking at just the word philosophy, okay? You are the architect. You're going to determine the wants and the needs. You're going to determine those goals. Those come out of your head because that project is from you. It's about goal setting or goal achieving, okay? So those things, maximizing your potential. In the world of accelerative learning, as you can see, the name of my company is the International Center for Accelerative Learning. We're looking at maximizing your potential. We believe that each person has an unlimited potential. So what we're doing is provoking you to think about it, to be aware of your potential, awareness of your potential. What do you think and why do you think that? So a metacognition. Okay, so think about your thinking. So do you do networking? Do you question? Do you reflect? Do you adapt, right? Go down the list of the knowledge economy skills. Go down the list of the lifelong learning skills. At the end of going down that list and answering it for yourself about your project, then you go back again to the vision, the mission, and the goals. Maybe you can add or subtract or modify those statements. In a lot of places, you know, like if you go into a bank, for example, I don't know how banks are in Senegal, but in the United States, most banks have their mission statement on the wall. So like when you walk in, there's a poster that has the mission statement. Well, I've done a lot of training for banks with my colleagues. And one of the first things I do just for fun, on the first day of classes, I ask the students who work in that bank, I say, what's your mission? And they're like, oh, wait a second, I should know that. And then literally they always want to run to the elevator, right? Because that's where the poster is. So even though they see the mission statement every day when they go up and down the elevator, they don't know it, right? Because they see it and they go, oh, that's nothing. It blends into the wall. In some schools, they always have to have the mission statement and the goals that the school is going after, you know, in the principal's office. But then if you ask the teacher, well, what are the mission statement of our school or what are the goals of our school? The teacher might just tell you what are her goals in her classroom, not the ones for the entire school, okay? So what we've done today is giving you some tools to look at vision, mission, and goals from a different perspective. So we're asking you to step to the side, do a lateral step to the left or the right, and then look at it from a different angle and be aware of your potential. Okay, so you know, somebody said, well, we need a lot of computers, right, for information technology. Well, not only do you need the hardware, but you need the software, right? So you're going to need to train the youngsters how to think so that the computer becomes a tool, okay? And that the youngster doesn't become automated, but the youngster can still be innovative while using a computer or technology or information technology. Okay. So how can you become innovative with each one of your projects? Awareness of your potential. Think about the lifelong learning skills, the knowledge economy skills. Once you've thought about those, go back. What is the vision, the mission, and the goals? Maybe you've written it already. Maybe you wrote it already in French and now you're writing it in English. So back and forth, like playing volleyball or ping pong.
How can say Ramadan in English?
Ramadan. It is Ramadan right now, right?
It's Ramadan.
Yes, right now.
I think you are not forget we are Ramadan right now.
Yes, right now.
You can eat after the sun
You're
is
gonna
down.
break
Yes?
the fast, right? Actually, it's 3:30 right now, isn't it?
That to say that I want to say that we are fasting today. That's correct.
But don't you break
Fasting, yes.
Of course, we have just 9 minutes.
9 more, and then you break.
Oh, from 9 minutes you can eat.
To
9
Well,
minutes.
you gotta pray
Yes.
first and then.
To stop.
Okay, we are
So we're almost done.
finalizing.
Okay, so we'll stop. So we'll stop.
I want you to tell us.
We're
After
giving
this
you
call,
food for
don't
thought.
forget
Thank
to send
you
me
for reminding
the
me.
summary of the call. When you
Okay.
finish, please, can you send me the summary of the calls? I need it.
Yeah, the recording, of course. Okay,
The
so we
summary,
will
yeah.
continue to be
Mhm.
continued on Wednesday. So we'll
Mhm.
continue on Wednesday. And since we
Mhm.
have 9 more minutes to break fast and pray and then eat.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All righty. Well,
Bye.
thank you.
Goodbye.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
We
Thank you.
invite you.
Don't
Goodbye. Thank you.
send me the summary of the calls.
Bye-bye.
D'accord,
Bye-bye.
yeah.
We invite you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Okay.
Have a good, bye-bye.
Have a good
Okay. Bye.
evening.
Bye.